I was 17, asleep in my bed. I felt the corner of my bed dip. I kept my eyes closed, thinking someone kicked my bed to wake me up. For whatever reason, I thought to myself that if I just pretend to be asleep, maybe they will let me get a few more minutes of sleep. Then I felt the bed dip more, and it felt as if someone was crawling up towards me and straddling me. I am fully awakened by this, 100% no question, and the only person who would do that was my girlfriend. So I said her name, my eyes still closed, thinking she would just crawl in, realizing I was just waking up. No answer. And right about then, I felt something was horribly wrong. For no reason, dread washed over me. I had that sensation you get when someone is close to your face. That weird sound-blocking silence when someone is in your personal space. When I said her name again, there was no reply. I immediately swung with the right hook so hard that the momentum literally made me fall out of bed. I fully expected to connect with someone. Imagine my shock and confusion as I was tumbling out of bed. I must have missed, I thought. With my adrenaline coursing through my veins, I looked around in the dark for someone to fight. Flipping on lights, there was no one there. It was like 3:20 in the morning, and I did not go back to sleep that night. What scared me the most is I was awake and not dreaming at all, no question in my mind. It's the only reason I've had in my life to give me a thought that paranormal experiences might be real. Creeped me out just thinking about it and writing it down again. So I don't know how to start this out really, but I'll try and explain it to the best of my ability. I was maybe 18 at the time, and I worked at Burger King, like how a lot of teens start out. I was working with this kid that went to my high school named Steven. He was a Wiccan, which I still know very little about. We were both working a bit late around 11 p.m. when we left. I had never left work at the same time as him except this one night. Normally he rode his bike, but decided to walk with me that night so I didn't have to walk alone. We're both guys, by the way. Nothing was out of the ordinary. It was just Steven and I walking in normal chit-chat between two acquaintances. I think I asked him about his Wiccan background because I find unordinary things to be interesting. We get to my apartment and take the back way. Imagine a normal car road with houses on both sides that does a 90-degree turn at the end back out to another street. If you are looking straight ahead, it would be a horizontal row of houses going left, continuing the street, and a giant 5-story apartment complex entrance to the right. Where the houses and the apartments meet is a chain-link fence that separates the two that continues forward, but the back of the apartment complex is open so you can walk through it. There is no path, just grass and AC units. Now there are 2 of the 5-story L-shaped complexes next to each other. We were walking on the bottom side of the L-shaped apartments, and I felt somewhat creeped out, like something was there or out of place. Steven and I got kinda quiet, and when we reached the opening between the 2 apartments, which were lined with those globe lights you see in the front yard, and it's just these 2 buildings creating a grassy alleyway. I look up and to my right where I see the moon. This giant white full moon dead center like a painting. Then I notice this orb of white light, like a burning sparkler with no stick or pure white energy. It comes from the moon and directly at my face and causes me to duck. I feel it brush past the back of my head with this silent fizzing whoosh sound. I wince and look to my left, and right above Steven's head next to the chain link fence, a rat drops out of thin air. I swear it just manifested right before my eyes, directly where that orb of light should have been. I look at Steven and I say, "Steven, what the heck, dude? What the heck was that? Did you see that?" He replied, "Don't worry about it. It's nothing," in a very "I'm actually really concerned right now" kind of way. I kept asking him about it the rest of the way, but he would never tell me what it was. It freaked me out, and I never really had another opportunity to ask him about it. I also think this happened around midnight. I'm not sure if that would have much significance or anything. This sounds outlandish, but I promise it's the truth. I, a 17-year-old male, have lived with my uncle, who I'll call Ty, in his cabin since the age of 6 for reasons I'd rather not disclose here. He's always been an outdoorsy kind of guy. Where his cabin is located, it's relatively secluded with miles between him and his neighbors, which may be why he taught me how to survive should I get lost at such a young age. This didn't happen too long ago. I was 11 during this encounter, and will never forget that day. At that point, it was obvious I got lost. Maybe I got a little too distracted playing with my handball and wandered too far into the forest. I felt scared looking around. All of it was just trees. And then I fell to my knees. That's when I heard a, "Hey." When looking up, there was a man standing in the clearing. Most probably would have freaked out in this situation, but the guy looked and sounded exactly like Uncle Ty. However, there was an unnatural sense of peace as he smiled at me. Carefully raising an arm, he proceeded to gesture over to a particular tree with a red ribbon tied around its middle. "Time to head on home, little one. Just follow the ribbons. Uncle's been awful worried about you." At first, I couldn't move, even when feeling a sense of safety, at least until he spoke again. "Go on now, he's waiting for you." His voice was strangely gentle and smooth as he encouraged me to leave. In that moment, I couldn't quite understand why there wasn't the faintest hint of fear in me, but what I do know is that I felt compelled to obey his words. Casually just strolling past this guy, not daring to look at him or retrieve my ball, constantly scanning the trees for more red ribbons and following them back to the cabin, my uncle immediately charged me as soon as I opened the door. He'd asked where I had been, and that sun was setting. Apparently I was playing longer than anticipated, and during that time Uncle Ty was cooking some stir-fry. I didn't get much sleep that night, but when I got out of bed the next day, there my ball was, right beside my desk. During breakfast, I seized the opportunity to ask my uncle if he found it, only for him to tell me no, he did not find it after all. Apparently he didn't know I'd lost it to begin with. But there it was, placed directly next to my desk, not a speck of dirt staining the surface. To this day, I don't know who or what I saw in the forest on that day. To be honest, it's something I can live without knowing.